Hello, welcome back. In part 1, we explored the mindset shift from old Angular pattern into a modern approach. We looked at how an application actually built, how data flows, why signals exist, and what truly matters when you are starting out. Now in part 2, we will zoom in on the most important building block in Angular, that is the component. It is very fundamental for everyone to know that everything in Angular involves around these components. They are not just pieces of UI, they are the foundation of how your application is structured, how logic is organized, and how data connects to the view. In this part, we will break the component down properly and rebuild of your understanding from the ground going up. Starting with, what is a component? Now let's break this down clearly. When we talk about a component, especially in Angular, we are talking about the fundamental building block of your application or a self-contained piece of user interface. Components have got 3 things which are very important. Number 1, the UI. When you view a website for the first time, what do you see? You may see sections like the navigation bar at the top, the sidebar on the left, a list of products, a login form, or maybe a footer at the bottom. Each one of these sections can be a component. Now, instead of building one giant web page file, we can break it we can break our screen into small, meaningful pieces. One might wonder why. Well, the answer is very simple. Because smaller pieces are easier to understand, to manage, and to reuse. Number 2, it has got its own logic. Now, here, this is where it becomes more powerful. A component isn't just HTML, it has got its own logic. For example, a form component knows how to validate inputs, or a list component knows how to loop through its data, or a navigation component knows how to respond when the user clicks an item. Each component controls has got its own behavior. It doesn't just depend on the entire application. It handles its own responsibility. The third thing that we want to talk about is that it also has got its own template. Every component has got its own template that defines what gets to be displayed, how data is going to appear, what structure is it going to look like. So inside one component, you may find your logic, your template, and your style, where everything relates to the section lives in. That's where the self-contained that we talked about comes in. Think of it as a Lego. Imagine building a house using Lego bricks. Each brick is a small and independent component. If you connect all these components, they gives you something which is bigger. Okay, so let's delve into this essence of a component by examining its 2 fundamental features, which are the component decorator and the component class. Mastering these elements, you become the Sherlock Holmes of Angular intricacies. First, let's start with the component decorator. Now, what exactly is this remarkable feature? Consider it as the fairy godmother of Angular. With the mere addition of the add component, it signals to Angulars that this is not just an ordinary class, it is a component itself. Without this designation, Angular would perceive this as just a standard entity. So what insight does it provide? It provides us with a selector. This serves as the VIP pass to your custom HTML tag. Spot the up example here that it tells that this component is ready to shine. The other thing that it also provides is the template URI. This determines what HTML masterpiece your component will showcase. The other thing that it also provides is the styles or style URL. This decides what your component is going to look like on the screen, or this determines the visual appearance of your component. Now, rest assured that these styles will be contained in that component, and it does not affect other components. Now, the overview of a decorator. The decorator just establishes the environment, answering questions such as where it appears, how it looks, and what style it employs, while delegating the functional aspects to the class itself. The second feature that we want to look at is that of the component class. This introduces the intellectual behind the loop, which is the export class here that we have here as an example. This is TypeScript class that harbors all the functional or operational intricacies. Now, inside this class structure, we will have such things as the property, which is our data, the methods, which are the behavior, the life cycle hooks, which we'll cover in an advanced concept. Now, if we put this dynamic jeweler in action, which is the decorator itself, it sets up the stage and the class directs the performance. Consider the following. The decorator will act as the blueprint and setup, and our class will act as the brain and the behavior of our component. Together, they create a striking UI presentation. Now, some key points to take note from this section here. Every Angular component is a collaborative effort that involves, number one, a component decorator which established the scene with selector, template, and style. And also number two, the component class that develops the narrative with the data, method, logic, and lifecycle events. Mastering these components, you will unlock the secrets behind Angular itself. So to conclude part 2, let's just take an overview of what we have covered already. In Angular, the entire application starts with one main component called the root component. Then that component contains other components, and those components can even contain more components. It forms a structure which looks like a tree. For example, an app component can have subcomponents like the navigation, the nav bar, the sidebar, the dashboard, the chart component, or the stats card component. Each branch is a smaller and focused piece of the UI. This structure keeps your application organized, even those very large ones. Now, why does this matter? Without component, you will end up with massive files, 1,000 lines of mixed code, logic and UI entangled together, very hard to maintain software. Now, with component, you will get organization, you will get usability, you will get clean separation of responsibilities. Your component will be easier for testing and scalability. This is why modern front-end frameworks are component-based. So, final keynotes to take away. When you hear the word component, think of it as a reusable, self-contained building block of the UI that has its own logic and its own template. And when you build an Angular app, you are not building pages. You are building a